All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So Jeremy Fowler of ESPN is reporting on a really interesting name as it pertains to the vacancies, these offensive coordinator openings, these gigs all across the NFL, right? So Washington, Tennessee, New York Jets, all the teams that need a head coach. There's an individual that is gaining a lot of momentum. There's a lot of buzz surrounding this coach. Jets fans, we know him well. It's Todd Monken, right? Current OC with the Georgia Bulldogs. Why do we know him well? Because he interviewed with the Jets to be their head coach a couple years ago, right before Salah. It was now that I'm thinking about it, the Jets went with Adam Gase. But it was once Bowles was fired, the Jets were bringing in a ton of different guys. It was the same cycle that Matt LaFleur was hired in Green Bay, McCarthy, Dallas that year. And again, the Jets settled on Gase, but I digress. The point is, he had an opportunity to interview with the Jets, and personally, when I think back to Monken System, specifically in Tampa Bay, I was a big fan of it. Just so aggressive. There's that constant emphasis on explosion, explosive plays down the field, put the defense on their heels, enter every single week, intimidating the opponent. No defense is going to dictate how Todd Monken wants to run his offense. You are constantly throwing the ball deep. You are constantly pushing the ball over the middle of the field, intermediate passes. And I remember the big question with Monken was always like, if you can just get him a smart quarterback that won't put it in harm's way that often, if you can just kind of get that, not necessarily veteran, but just a guy who really knows, kind of like Stetson Bennett to a certain degree, just a guy who knows the game, who can be aggressive, but you know, he will play fearless, but he's not going to be reckless with the football. I think you are going to see a ton of offensive production. That was always the big question mark, right? Specifically back then, he was working with Jameis Winston for a couple seasons, and after Tampa Bay, obviously does not go to the New York Jets, spent a year in Cleveland, and since then has been with the Georgia Bulldogs. And again, when I look at experience, Monken has it. When I want somebody that has experience working with wide receivers, he has that. Experience working with quarterbacks, he has that. Young quarterback specifically because, you know, Monken spent a ton of time in college as well. Southern Miss, Oklahoma State, you know, so he's bounced around, had success at both levels. I think, I would really like it for the New York Jets, but at the same time, I feel like the Jets have got to kind of embrace his style. I don't like a situation playing out where they get Monken in the building and then they try to tell him what to run. They try to, you know, there's these rules that would be in place. I think if you want Todd Monken, he has to hire his own staff. He has to do things the way he wants to do them. He has to call plays, and it's going to be Monken's offense. There's not going to be this, there's not going to be these higher-ups bossing him around or telling him how to do. It has to be a similar situation like at Georgia, right? Kirby Smart lets Todd do his thing. And I do think the Jets could benefit in a system like that. I do have some question marks, obviously, about who's going to be playing the quarterback position. With Zach Wilson, I just don't, although I do like the upside with like pushing the ball down the field, I just feel like you're going to see a ton of turnovers in that category, but who knows? I mean, the quarterback discussion is completely, that's a whole 20, 30-minute video by itself. Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, Jimmy Garoppolo, so many names, Aaron Rodgers, like names could go on and on forever. But when I'm looking at Monken and a potential staff, here's where it gets super cool. He could, if he wants to, he could bring on Dirk Koetter. Now, Dirk Koetter was also, I mean, this guy has been coaching since the 80s. 1986, I believe, UTEP is when he first kind of got rolling. He has spent year after year after year after year after year as an offensive coordinator. Dirk Koetter knows offense. Currently with Boise State. I believe he's still with Boise State. I know he was serving as an offensive analyst with them. But the point is, not only do Monken and Koetter have experience working together in Tampa Bay, but you can now bring Koetter in working with the quarterbacks, right? He could be your quarterback coach. And this is, again, if you want veteran experience, if you want guys that have worked with a million different quarterbacks, seen highs, seen lows, experience wins, experience losses, just veterans, then Monken and Koetter could be the option here. They check both of those boxes. Are you a veteran? Do you have a ton of experience? You know, I think that's awesome. Also, you're going to be bringing something new to the Jets that we haven't really seen in these past couple of seasons with Mike LaFleur, which is kind of the West Coast short pass, the Kyle Shanahan scheme. So it's interesting. The only drawback here with Todd, I think it's going to take a lot to pry him away from Georgia. Why? Because he's a beast. He's arguably one of the best offensive coordinators in all of college football. If you have multiple teams in the NFL calling about him, right? Because it wasn't like Fowler pointed out the Jets and said, oh no, the Jets are interested. He said he's gaining momentum across the entire NFL. And then also, I mean, Georgia's won back-to-back national championships. They're just going to continue to roll, continue to keep pumping talent into the program. Kirby Smart is just absolutely unbelievable. The way Georgia plays, just so aggressive, but at the same time calculated and smart. I mean, he's in a sweet, sweet spot. You can make an argument, you know, he could just kick his feet up, continue doing what he's doing, and then he's going to end up getting an incredible job in time, right? In maybe a year, maybe just 2 years, right? He could be in that discussion. He could be an option for a team. Maybe he's heading his entire college program in a year or two. So I don't know. I think to leave Georgia, come to the New York Jets, which a lot of people consider a bad job. I don't really consider it a bad job. I just consider it a high pressure job. But in the event that Monken is down to come to New York, I would frankly love it. I would love for this to happen, but we'll see how it plays out. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Would you like Monken? Would you like Koetter? A lot of experience there, man. A lot of experience. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.